And we are back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rollers of Fate, the campaign Legends of Sand and Blood. We are doing a couple cool things with the channel. I'm making the chat bigger so you guys can see it. We're trying to get up to 50 followers, maybe become Twitch affiliates, and then Twitch patrons, and all that fun stuff. But until then, hopefully this helps you guys read the screens a little bit more. Last time we left off with our players defeating the section of cultists that were in the city of Quadra on the lands of Zakara. They found information from the goblin slave trade owner on where Annabella Ostwald, the daughter of the noble they were sent by to help bring her home, that she was sold to a wizard librarian in the city of Quadib. With a little more haggling and negotiating by Flavis, you were able to secure camels, provisions, and even a guide to help you get there. You left the city. You traveled on through the Zakaran coastline, following the trade roads, and you end up. Let me get that map for you. We shall activate the map. You end up leaving Quadib and heading north along the trade roads.
What about the ogre?
Actually, it was a Cyclops. The night started, the sun set, and with the cold temperatures, the guide decided it'd be a good time to light a fire, set a camp. In the middle of the night, a group of people come running over the sand dune down through your camp, beyond you and over the next sand dune, and they were being followed by the large thuds of a mad Cyclops who stopped at your camp and decided to try to kill you all. But foolishly he did, because he was vanquished by the onslaught of attacks from our brave adventurers. And that is where we pick up. The morning, the sun rising in the east over the dunes, shining lights on the large corpse of a Cyclops right in the middle of your campsite. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Rollers of Fate campaign, and here we go. What are you guys doing?
Nothing like a fight to start off the day.
Yes, that was interesting.
Are there, for some reason, any components like magical parts of the Cyclops that are used in magical things, like
Alright.
potions? I know about any of that.
Give me an Arcana
Eye
check.
of the Cyclops.
Oh, hold on, I gotta find my character in the top right.
No problem.
Oh, that's where they are. I don't see mine up there.
No, they be in the character roles area. A 15. Yeah, not that you're aware of. Cyclops is, while somewhat rare, they're pretty smelly, giant, mini giants, but nothing magical that you know of from their corpses could be used.
Roger that.
Do I know much about Cyclopses? Do I know if they're naturally aggressive? Would they just randomly be chasing people, potentially to eat or kill them?
Give me a nature check.
Okay. All right.
An 11. From what you know, you've only, I think, run into this Cyclops before, but the stories that you get say they're horrible creatures that like to eat people, and, that's basically about it. Would they chase people down? Probably.
All right.
Seem like they
Did
would.
anybody see what direction they went in? The fleeing civilians.
Your guide, who was quivering in the corner of this battlefield, Yatir, points back the way you came, said they ran back that way.
Well, they'll figure it out soon enough. I would say we should salvage what we can off this guy and continue onwards.
Okay.
I
The
agree.
Cyclops had very little on him. He had his large club, besides a loincloth and some ragged clothing that was sewn together quite poorly to make almost like a tunic. He's pretty much broke.
All right. Looks like there's not much here. Unless there's something else the rest of you would like to do, I suggest we move onwards.
I don't see any reason why to sit
I
around.
believe that is appropriate.
All right. Yatir
Alright.
begins packing up the tents, packing up the supplies and loading them on the camels, making sure everyone has fresh water in their canteens. He's pouring them out of a large, almost like a giant water skin that's hanging on one of the camels. He pours everyone a full water skin. Gives you all some hardtack bread and some dried meats, and we should move on, my friends, before the sun gets too high.
Sounds good.
Can I have everyone give me a perception check, please?
Okay.
Would Jules be involved in this perception check?
If she is out and about, absolutely.
Why roll? There it is.
Zervius, the smell of the Cyclops is awful. And unfortunately,
I still beat Jules.
that's true.
You.
That's true. Jules begins sniffing the air, and Flavis, you as well, pick up the smell of, very faintly, but the smell of smoke. Incredibly faint. Campfire. It's definitely not yours, as yours is already out. It was put out by the Cyclops during the battle. And over the dune to your northeast, you almost see a smoky haze on the horizon. And Jewel picks this up and basically tells you all about it, Eden, as well.
With that smell of fire, obviously you made it sound like it was a campfire. Is there anything else we're picking up, like possibly some sort of a meat being cooked on it, or
No.
any
No, it's
accompanying smell?
literally just a faint smell of fire. Almost lightly permeating the area. And then obviously, like I said, over the dune, you can see from where you are at the bottom of the dune, cresting the top of the dune, you see almost like a gray haze in the sky beyond the dune.
Just for reference sake, was that roughly in the same? God damn it, Beaver! Is that roughly in the same direction as where the Cyclops came from?
No, the Cyclops came more from the east, and
Okay.
this is more northeasterly in a direction.
All right, awesome.
Yatir has finished loading up the camels and everything else. Are you ready, my friends?
Yes.
I believe so, yes.
Jules was noting, and I sort of smelt it on the wind myself, but Jules was noting there's a fire coming from over there. What say everyone we just go investigate that quickly before we leave?
All right. I would agree with you.
Well.
Let's move on and check the place.
We won't spend a lot of time, but people could be hurt, and there might be something of use over there as well.
Just so I'm properly informed, is what we're camped on basically a road, like a path?
You are just off of a well-beaten path. It is basically open sand dunes, but there are almost like pillars every 300-400 meters, basically signifying the route to take.
Okay.
Everyone in agreement?
Yes. Let's not
I,
good
I,
here.
I agree, but I don't think we should spend any more than a couple hours off the path.
That's fine. All
All
right.
right.
We'll be back. Stay
All right.
hidden and try not to get in too much trouble while we're gone.
Oh, yes, sir. You guys crest the top of the dune, and you don't see anything. For as far as the eye can see, it's rolling sands dunes. Every so often, you see one of these small rock pillars sticking out of the sand. The horizon, though, to the northeast, is smoky, hazy. And from the top of the dune, all of you can smell a very faint, like burnt fire smell in the air.
Is it possible I could do a survival check to judge how far away that is?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. Goddamn.
It's a long way off.
I'll send Jules 100 feet up into the air, and I'll peer through her eyes.
Okay.
See
Jules-
if I can get a better picture.
Yep, Jules having much better vision than any of you. Her eyes, her dragon eyes, kind of, she blinks and almost is like a zoom in on a lens, and then she blinks again and it zooms in slightly more. On the horizon, on the way horizon, beyond sand dunes, beyond more sand dunes, there's almost a column of smoke rising in the distance, which is creating all of this haze around where you are. She flies
How
back
far do I
down. And how far away?
how far do you judge that it's coming from? Yeah.
Give me give me a survival check.
Roger.
And then if you ask Jules, you can have her give you a survival check as well.
I do not know.
You don't know. You can't tell. It's on the horizon. That's all you can basically tell. And Jules, on the other hand, doesn't know either.
It's that way. It's pretty far. And I'll point.
Should we bring the caravan with us?
The caravan, Yatir unfortunately didn't listen too much for the direction you were heading, is kind of back towards the road. So he has brought the camels up to the top of the dunes and come, my friends, the road's this way, and basically points in the exact direction that Jules was watching.
I'll how long have we been walking in the direction towards the smoke?
You literally just crested the top of the hill. The sand dune that you were on was maybe 100-foot tall sand dune, so it took a while to get up to the top. But it's only been about 15, 20 minutes of you standing on top of the sand dune overlooking the desert area.
And when I was up in the area, the smoke doesn't look like it's coming from a place anywhere close to us.
Absolutely not. Whatever Jules was able to zoom in on the horizon is definitely the cause of the haze and the smoky smell that's directly around you now.
I'll look back at the group. I don't think this is going to be a small endeavor. I think it's going to take quite a few hours to get there and back.
The fire that
All right.
large must have people.
If you guys want to commit, we can commit, but I don't think we should leave the cart on the road, given that
And my
a
friends,
Cyclops run
my-
through there.
my friends, we take the camels, we go on the road. What you're talking of, it's roughly the same direction. I'm sure we'll be fine.
All right.
What say you
Should
guys?
be fine.
All
agree
right,
with you.
all right,
Let's
let's
just
continue
follow the
on
road.
normally then, no?
Sounds like a plan.
Please.
Very well. You mount up on your camels. You begin moving on down the road. The next couple of hours, again, there's still that faint smoke on the wind, with the wind blowing from the northeast coming towards the southwest here. Dry, hot air coming down the coastline. as you guys make your way, following the tops of these dunes, following the cairns that are pointing the way of the trade road. Um, in the distance, you see what appears to be a small fortress, desert stone, maybe 20-foot high walls, one center building. As you guys make your way, and it seems like there's a mass of people around this building. Tents, small fires, things like that. The Yatir keeps the caravan moving. As you guys make your way closer to this fortress, you're still maybe about a mile or so out, and just over the top of the ridge of the sand dune, you see about 12 people. One of them's pulling a wagon. A bunch of them are pulling a wagon. 3 or 4 of them are walking on the road, and they are starting to come past you, traveling south, back the way you came. Yatir mentions a greeting in Madani, in the Zakarian language. They nod, and he keeps going. What are you guys doing?
Well, quick question out of character. I've got the party showing on the top left there for skills and everything instead of my character, and I noticed that when I rolled.
Oh yeah. So
How do I
if
change
you
it back to me?
if you go to the up right corner, you'll see the actors directory. It's the 3 little people symbol. If you click on that, you should be able to select your character. And open your character sheet.
Select it, and I opened the sheet, but I'm still showing the party for those skill rolls.
Right, so you have to roll it on your
Right.
actual
You have to
character
roll it
sheet that
on the
opens
character
then.
sheet. Correct. Not
Okay,
in the top, not on the top left, but open it from your character sheet and roll those skills.
All right, because I thought you could at one point, but my bad.
All right. These people are making their way past you. Flavis, your keen eyes pick up that none of these people are happy.
It's funny you said that because I was about to ask what state they're in, but
None of
okay.
them are happy. There is a older gentleman laying in the back of the cart. He's bandaged. He's got cloth wrappings, bandages going up his arm. He's got half of his face is bandaged, and he's just laying there sleeping in the cart. People are a couple of the people are carrying vases. Some are carrying baskets, and they are just slowly walking past you guys as your small 6 camel caravan moves up the road.
Speaking of Madani, I'm just going to ask, obviously, I guess the next person that comes close enough to me to talk, I guess, reasonably quiet. What happened to you?
We lost our home. We're traveling. The fortress has no space for us. We'll move on to Taliet or Quadra, seek refuge.
Who attacked your town?
A great beast, a monster. It was quite terrible. And with that, they just stop talking and keep walking, as if to stop in the desert sun would surely mean to die.
Before they
Alright.
leave, I point towards the smoke, and I ask them, "Is that your town?"
Are you trying to speak in Madani, or are you speaking in common?
I'll try the Madani.
Give me a performance check. Actually, not a performance. Give me an intelligence saving throw, or not a saving throw, a skill check. Sorry. Got a
Ability
plus-
check, you said?
Ability check. Yep, you got a +1 there. Oh,
Nice.
you managed to get out just enough of the correct words that they nod and keep moving.
Prepare yourselves. Sometime today, there shall be battle.
The closer
the
you get,
part.
okay, the closer you get to this desert fortress that's on the side of the trade road, obviously a um, safeguarding force that keeps the trade road safe. You see hundreds of tents being set up, wagons, people, injuries, things like that. Yatir urges you that we should probably move on and not get involved in such things as um, he does not want to get involved in such things. Um, but obviously you are in his employ, or he is in your employ, so the call is yours, but he recommends moving on.
All right. Well, funny enough, I actually kind of agree with him. It goes against our mission statement. We have a goal in mind, and time is of the essence. And I'm sure this local fortification can provide all the protection these town folk need. But it is a group decision, and everyone's opinion is valid. So, what say the rest of you?
Well, I'm going to look at the guide and ask, what town do you think that is burning?
The guide in his rough comment says the only other place is the city of Liam, fortress city like Quadra.
If it is a fortress city that is burning, I think we have bigger problems at hand at the moment.
Indeed.
We definitely keep a low fire this coming night. Try and draw as least attention at night as possible.
Indeed.
That would be wise. I agree.
You spend most of your day on besides the early morning. You spend almost all day on the camel, traveling much farther than you would on foot. Camels being able to traverse the sand a lot easier than humanoid feet. You make your way out of the sand dunes, past the fortress. Again, still groupings of people coming south on the road, all with the same grim look on their faces, desperation, injury, things like that. And the sand dunes gives ways to grasslands as you begin to see the river up ahead and the city of Liam. For the last day and a half, you have seen the smoke on the horizon. For the last day and a half, you have smelt the smoke in the air and spoken with refugees heading south towards Quadra. You learn that Liam has suffered multiple arson attacks in recent weeks. But 4 days passed. A creature arose from the dark places of the city and wrought destruction with each step. With each stride it took, the creature buried and burned all in its path. The city burned. The people fled. Liam, one of the great free cities, is dead. A half day's ride from the city, you finally see the destruction with your own eyes. Liam, a once powerful city, second to that of Quadra, lay gasping for breath. A large city home to roughly 120,000 souls, ruined, some of which still smolder and quarters still aflame. Trapped behind its massive walls, it gasps for breath. You spot a large encampment spattered around the landscape surrounding the city, and specks of shadows movements at the gates, showing signs of more citizens fleeing the dying city. A few more refugees pass by, speaking of the horror they witnessed, speaking of the soldiers trying to defend them, and the great Shairs casting their magics to stop the creature. The closer you ride, the more your camels and guides seem on edge, more on edge than ever before. Rounding a corner in the road, you can now fully witness what is left of a large army encircling the city in camps and in formation. The sounds of crumbling stone can be heard, even at this distance, as some of the largest structures in the city give way to their wounds and crumble to the streets below. Your guide urges that you do not linger and should move on, but the choice is yours. Stay or move on. With that choice, the guide hastily pulls out a map. If you move on, the guide believes taking the trade road south, following the Al Suri River until it forks, and then following the Wadi until it ends, and head through the mountain pass until you come to the Al Yatir River. This would be the best route to reach the next city of Umara. Though the trip through the mountains may bring you in contact with the unenlightened tribes who reside around the mountains, at the base of the mountains, and or the other designations of the area. Or, if you wish, you can travel the more direct route. Head due northeast, but will surely face the vast sand dunes of the open desert that lay between here and your next stop, the city of Umara. But your guide warns you, many a fool have been lost to the sands of the desert, and that the desert holds many unknown hazards. The choice is yours. What do you do?
4 days is the alternate route.
The first route will take you roughly 4 days if you do not stop, while going directly through the desert would be about 3.
I say we take the detour. It's, I think, safer than the main road.
Well, why don't we think about this for a moment, right? We have 2 options. One barely increases our time traveled, but presents more dangers across that journey. The other option barely increases the length that we need to travel, decreases the decreases the time we need to travel, but it requires us to fight our way through a city that's currently on fire. So, guide, what do you think are the chances that our caravan would even make it through that hellhole?
Yeah, Tyr quickly looks down at his map. We can circle the city without going through it, my friend. That great city, look at it burning. I hate to shudder what evil brought that to bear. But we can go around the city before entering the desert. That would be no problem. If my theory is correct, Umara will be 150 miles across through the desert, versus if we go the route through the mountains. You are looking at 250 miles, give or take. It is a choice you have to make. But the desert sands, they can be a bewildering place. But then again, the unenlightened tribes, they can be quite difficult to deal with. Plus, whatever creatures live in those mountains. Or what creatures live in the desert. Oof.
Why would you suggest that we take the detour then? If we can just skirt around the city.
We can skirt the city, but the open desert is a vast place that many have gotten turned around in. Without proper food, water, and perhaps what other creatures lurk in that desert, what magics might be there. It is a dangerous way to go. Again, the choice is yours. My honest take would be the southern route through the trade road, following the Wadi till it ends at the base of the mountain valley, traveling through that, and it's a more easily path that you can follow, even though it takes longer. We should not be losing our way as easy as you could in the sands of the dunes.
But don't we have a extremely trained and well guide to take us along the first route, should we decide to go that way?
I, my friend, very skilled at driving camels and moving people through the lands. The desert, while it will be a challenge for me to navigate, it is easier, and I believe less likely to find error in our path should we go the southern route through the mountains.
The guide sounds more
Alright.
confident in the southern route.
Well, of course he does. It's easy. It's a path, and it leads you on the way you're supposed to go. But
Oh, if he says that there's potential for more catastrophic events in the desert, I'd say the day extra worth of travel isn't that bad.
if it really is only an extra day, then you're not wrong. It's not like we're in any sort of urgency at this point, anyways. We're already like you've told me, several months behind.
It can vary. We drifted in the sea for a long time.
Yeah, so we're not in any sort of urgency.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
Any
fine. Go ahead.
refugees? Are there any refugees heading up that shorter route through the desert?
Most of them all look like they're heading towards the fortress back on the road south. The closest city would be the closest town would be Taliat, which you pass through very quickly. It was a very nondescript desert town. And Quadra, obviously, beyond that, being the next major metropolitan area. No one is really heading south. That trade road travels deep into the mountains to some of the inner cities of Zakara. So you see very few, if none, of the refugees heading that way. Though, while this is all going on, a group of refugees actually approach you. 4 or 5 young kids, a mother, an elderly gentleman. They have a donkey pulling a cart where the kids are. The woman comes up in Madani and kind of holding her hand out. Fair travelers, do you have anything you can spare for my family? We have lost all. The creature burned our house and buried it in sand. We barely escaped with our lives. We were told the fortress has no more room, and we are unsure where to go.
Can't really give you too much, but I happen to have a shitload of rations if you'd like some. I know, right?
Anything kind, sir, would be helpful.
There's here. How many are you? There's 3 or 4 of you, or
Yeah, 3 children, the mother and the old man. 5.
all right.
altogether.
Here you go. Have 10 rations. There you go.
Any information you can give us on this creature, I will pay for.
The mother starts speaking up. I did not see it. And one of the kids jumps up and begins rattling off really fast in Madani. So unfortunately, Akron, you don't understand what he's saying. But
Yatir, can you translate as best you can what this kid is describing?
yes, of course. He's saying the beast moved like fire, shaped like a man, but swirled with sand around him. Things burst into flames, and once they were consumed, it seemed like the desert claimed them, as half the city was buried in sand, the streets filled with feet and feet worth of desert sand dune, as if trying to return the city to the desert. The kid keeps going on, and it seemed the creature could fly and shot flames from its eyes. And all of a sudden, you see the old man's hand slap the kid on the back of the head. And the old man says in Madani, and Flavis, you pick this up instantly, "Stop exaggerating, you fool." And the kid shut up. And Yatir looks back to you guys.
Do any of these characteristics tip off anything in my head of something I may have crossed in my arcane studies?
Yes, and not too long ago. For all of you faced a creature just like it in the cultist lair back in Quadra.
An elemental.
I will pay the kid and his family 40 gold.
They begin kissing your hand and offering you blessings of the fates. Very, very kind of you, dwarf.
Did it look any? Did you guys see any of these symbols in the town? I'll paint I'll paint in the sand the best way I can of the dune and flame painting
Okay.
that I see all the time of the cult.
Sure. Yeah. So the mother speaks up and says, "Yes, these markings were on were painted on sides of buildings, and there were even a few flags with this symbol on it towards a day or so ago, before the creature came. For the last several weeks, many buildings burned in the city that seemed to have this mark on it.
I'll say, and everybody's head is I'll go one by one because that's what my ability limits me to. But I'll say that it sounds like it's the cult all over again. Same thing that was happening in Quadra.
All the more reason to hurry up and get on our way to the next city before it spreads there as well.
Yeah, it's best be on our way. I'll
Hey.
I can't give much, but I'll give him 10 gold.
Thank you immensely for your gift, and for the gift of Akron. That the money is very, very kind of you, and they move off down the road towards the fort. And you are left alone on the road as it forks away from the city, heading either Route 1 south, and then northeast through the mountain ravine, or due northeast straight towards the next city of Umara.
Let's do a vote.
What, it adds one extra day? Why would anybody be foolish enough to cross through the desert? Unless there's something you're not telling us, possibly is there a reason why anybody would want to go out there?
Through the desert?
Is there legends, stories?
No
mean, what?
legends story. I mean, all of Zakara has stories about its fabled deserts, but deserts are dangerous places. Mountain Pass has more shade, more prevalent to have resources. The desert, you're risking it. I have supplies. To make it to Umara, where we would. Well, I had supplies to make it to Liam, but I can stretch what I have left to possibly get us to Umara. If we meet the unenlightened tribes, we may be able to barter and trade with them, but you won't find any tribes in the desert. You'd only find whatever creatures lurk there.
It just seems odd they wouldn't cultivate a road by the sea, like we've been traveling along this entire time. But
Liam and Umara aren't necessarily on speaking terms, but as they are all the free cities of the coast, they all travel by ocean, following the coastline with the winds. It's the fastest way to travel.
you see, I wanted to travel by ship, but nobody wanted to travel by ship.
But then you
mean,
wouldn't have met
I
Yatir, and I could not have guided you this far, and I am happy to be of your employ.
And I would not have found Mithril.
All right. It
Very
sounds
good.
like we're taking the mountain pass, the trade route. Is everyone in agreement? We need to get a move on here.
Alright, I agree with you. The mountain pass seems to
All
be
right, we got
safer.
one for mountain pass. The rest of you, come on, give me some hands.
There's a lot more chance.
Mountain is fine. Let's go.
All right, mountain. All right, we're going through the mountain. Lead on.
Very
Feel
well,
a little
Mike.
bit more upbeat halfway. And I'll say that in halfway.
Oh, I'm just trying to get us going here. You know, I want to get this done and over with as fast as you do.
About what time is it?
By the time you reach Liam, it's from the fort to Liam. It was about a half day's ride. You're roughly sitting at like 2 p.m. right now, high noon, sun's overhead. But luckily enough, you are in the grasslands that are made plentiful by the Alsuri River. But the trade road will follow that river southeast until it ends, and you can follow the drive riverbed, the Wadi, further to the mountains.
Well, let's go to the mountain pass, Yatir.
Oh, very well, my friends. Come, we go. And he he spurs his camel, and it makes a braying sound in protest, and then begins to move on. And you all fall in line. The rest of the day traveling is quite nice. Besides the faint smell of smoke that's on the horizon, the wind comes out from the mountains and then down the coast. So it's you're not driving into the smoke anymore. You're actually pulling away from it. The river, blue crystal waters that come down from these mountains that fill this small valley leading to the city. It's quite pleasurable. You end your day just where the river starts to peter out, and you can see a dry gorge beginning to form where the riverbed was. It turns into almost like a 10-foot deep little ravine as to where the rivers would be in the wet season. Yatir says we should make camp, I believe, and rest.
Drinks are on me.
Of course they are.
Yatir unloads the camels, sets up a few tents, and prepares an evening meal. What are all of you doing?
Taking
guess,
a much
uh,
drink.
I'm gonna huddle around the campfire for a little bit and talk to whoever else is sitting here. And sooner or later, we're gonna have to start devising some sort of a game plan when we arrive in town. Obviously, there's too many possible scenarios to really hone in on what we'll truly do, but it works in our favor to start thinking about the possible options.
I agree.
And I'm talking to myself. Nobody else is at the campfire. Okay.
No, Yatir is stirring the pot with with a spoon, and he looks over and goes, "I'd be most interested in what this quest you are on, unless it is none of my business, and then I shall make myself scarce."
Well, it's not that it's so much not your business. It's more so that you don't want to make it your business. It could possibly be bad for you.
Then I shall go elsewhere and not hear anything. And he
I
heads over.
knew you were a smart man.
He heads over to the camel that's at the farthest area and begins setting up his bedroll.
All right, and I'll just go back to talking to myself about the plan that we're possibly doing. And
I'll talk to you while I set up the tent, because nobody.
oh, so there is somebody here listening. Oh, fantastic! I thought I was going
I
insane.
listen. I just don't always talk.
I was deep in thought, thinking the elemental at the previous city.
Oh, if the dwarf is deep in thought, then we all ought to be careful.
My brother was deep in thought at one point.
And look where that got him.
It did not get
Yum.
anywhere good.
No offense, but he's not sitting here with us right now. So
He is sitting
Well.
here in spirit.
Well, us dwarves, we live deep, so thinking deeply is
Some would say
it's
he
a
is
fight
here.
for us.
all right. Well, anyways, we don't need to think too hard on it right now because there are so many options, so many possibilities that it would truly be a waste of a good mind to think too deeply on it as of right now. But I do ask that you all start thinking about it as we venture onwards to our final destination, as there might be no time to waste, or we might have all the time on our hands. We don't really know these things yet.
I have a
Well.
bad feeling about this.
Copyright strike. No.
The table was loading.
Anyways, I
Um,
will toss my mug into the fire and gonna call it a night.
Wait, the whole mug? But
No, like it's an expression. You tossed your mug, just the rest of your drink into the fire.
I'm a very literal person.
the
Yeah.
fire
What are you,
hisses.
Drax?
The fire hisses with the leftovers of your water and some of the juices that were added to it to sweeten it.
Put in a bit of my mead. You finished that, all of
While
it.
everybody goes to bed, I'm gonna sit playing my viol.
Okay. Give me a
You're-
performance check.
You're playing.
I'm great at this.
Just call it
I'm
veal.
Playing his
my
veal.
That's what I was like. You just called it veal. Connor, you
Veal. Okay.
Veal.
it
As in,
sounded
like,
like you said veal.
Ye ol' veal.
It's a very
All right,
tender song.
I'll give it to you.
Viola.
Okay. Yes.
Give me that performance check.
I can totally do this.
See how many people you upset. And is that a tool that you have?
It is
Oh.
actually. I have proficiency.
Wow. You end up basically putting everyone to sleep with the absolutely stunningly beautiful song that you do, reminding you of your brother and of the music that he played.
It's a folk song from our land of Draconia. I don't know. I don't know. Where
Everyone kind of goes to sleep. Yatir approaches you and says, "My friend, that is a very beautiful yet sad song. Tell me, where does this song come from?"
It is a song of my people. It is a folk song we are taught from a young age.
I've not met many of your kind before. It sounds quite beautiful. Have you always played this instrument?
I took it up after my brother started going to college to be what they call a bard.
A singer of tales, yes. I know of them.
He was a speaker of tales. He wasn't very good at singing.
Well, you then have the gift that he did not, for it was quite beautiful of the song and the music that you played. I must tell you that the city of Liam, it sits heavy with me that such a powerful city could just burn from some creature. I am quite scared. Do you know what this creature was? Do you know how to stop such a thing?
Out of character, I have to know, is what is being said in the chat true? Do I actually need to roll?
You don't need to roll anything the party is telling you.
I'm
Oh,
just making
I
sure.
only have to listen when I tell you to roll something. Thank
Okay.
you, Ben.
Well, how did you know it was me? It says the party. It
Because
says
you're the one.
party.
Because you're the one that would do it, and you're laughing.
I'm laughing, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't got a good poker face. All right. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
That's-
We've run into a similar creature before. There was one in a deep lair in Quadra.
You encountered a creature like this before.
Yes. It's
Wow.
it's a member of an occult. It's something that is being brought on by religious fanatics. It's not our place to judge, but it's our problem when they attack us.
I would see that, yes. Well, knowing that I'm with such brave and noble creatures as my master at the slave market has said, I feel more comfortable sleeping here in camp with you than alone on the road. But it is late, and we'll get an early start in the morning. I must be off to bed.
Indeed. And with that, I'll sheathe my bow. And
Okay.
I'll put the veal away.
All right.
In the totally fine leather case I totally possess.
Of course you completely do. Absolutely. Early morning comes. You're the camp just inside the wadi. The cool air beckons. Everyone wakes up feeling fully refreshed. Because of the great night's sleep provided by Kembek Eden. Everyone gets a +1 on all skill checks today for being so well rested.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Eden.
A blessing from the veal.
Yes, you almost feel your brother Oldek with you, and everyone can take a long rest as well. And with that, Yatir is providing food, some dried fruits, some more almost like a biscuity type of bread that was made overnight, and the dried fruits, along with the water that he has. And you begin to make your way down down the wadi. Let's have Zervius give me a D100 roll, please.
Uh-oh.
All right.
All right, here it comes. A 29. Okay. You guys continue through the wadi for most of the morning hours till noon. When you hear almost like the roar of a lion off in the distance, Yatir kind of stops for the moment and looks around. But being in the bottom of the wadi, he doesn't see anything and continues moving on. And
Does that sound like a creature you're aware of?
Yatir, Yatir, who's sitting there as your guide up there on his horse / camel, says it sounds like a lion to me, and you know, says that we should be careful, my friends. You guys are all basically walking with your camels, but they are all they are basically all in line, right, kind of where you are. And what is everyone doing?
Do we have an idea of where that noise was coming from?
Ahead
Or
of
is it sort
you.
of like an echo.
It
It
kind
is
of
moving ahead,
echoes.
so-
Yeah, it's definitely ahead of you, but it echoes through the walls of this 10-foot deep. You guys are basically on the bottom of a river channel, walking up through this pathway towards the mountains. And Yatir kind of stops. The noise is close. I am not one for what's the word? Fighting. So I will stay here, please. And he pulls his horse down and dismounts. Now, just so I'm aware, Zervius, I figured you'd be riding your horse. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. So there you are.
Since Sting is at the front, I'll tell him in his head. I'll say, "I'm gonna have Jules check ahead for us,"
Okay.
and I'll tell Jules in Draconic, "Fly ahead, fly high, be my eyes."
All right. Jules goes ahead and takes off. And she goes, oh my. And sends you a message in your head. Give me 1 second. I got